5G fifth generation technology promises faster download speeds and conveniences that most of us have never dreamed of, but will also be blanketed with a new type of radiation called millimetre waves. Health experts are warning about the rising risks with a 5G rollout.
It's not been made clear to the public that 5G won't just be another number and letter on your cell phone. It requires an entirely new infrastructure of thousands of small cellular antennas to be erected throughout cities.
What would 5G infrastructure look like? Small cell antennas could be placed as close as every third hydro pole. Scientists from 42 countries are now warning their governments about the emerging health problems associated with wireless radiation. And Canadian doctors and scientists have added their voices.
The most prevalent symptoms include headache, fatigue, decreased ability to concentrate, tinnitus, irritability, and insomnia. Impacts on the heart and the nervous system are also of great concern.
Dr. Rena Bray has been working at the Provincial Environmental Health Clinic for 15 years and seen the number of people suffering adverse effects from electromagnetic exposure rising.
We are concerned that the upcoming introduction of 5G will significantly increase the proximity and extent of exposure to microwave radiation in Ontarians. We predict that the number of people who develop the symptoms I just mentioned will rise in the places where 5G is first installed.
Dr. Magda Havas is internationally recognized for her research.
We're ready.
Hell yeah. Been looking forward to this.
2, 1. Ready to launch. Ready to launch. Hit the button.
Here we go.
It's working.
It's working.
Nationwide 5G is live.
Yeah. Soon, my friend. Very soon.
Yeah, I wanted to do a little commentary on this CBS Morning News from May of 2016 regarding the Zika virus scare, which was going on that year. Of course, transmitted by mosquitoes, and this got on my radar through one of my favorite channels who covered a segment of this particular video where the man does a flat earth reference, and that's a different subject. I'm gonna get to that, but I want to kind of go through this interview and analyze the methodology on how they perform a PSYOP for the purpose of fear tactics. I'm going to go ahead and run this.
Want to discuss. So, David, good to see you. No doubt in your mind it's coming here. Where and when? Good to see you, too. It's coming over the next month.
No doubt it's coming here. Why is there no doubt? Where and when, she says. Just make sure. I'm going to play that again.
David, good to see you. No doubt in your mind it's coming here. Where and when? Good to see you. see you too. It's coming over the next month. And so anywhere that this particular kind of mosquito goes, which is as far north as New York and as San Francisco, it's going to be very prevalent here in the United States, starting next month and going throughout the summer.
He knows the timeline in detail. He knows the location, how far north, how far south. They have the states outlined. They have details on
mosquito or just a random mosquito. One that they
How do you know?
Next month and going throughout the summer.
Crucial question
Get
coming
happy.
up.
How do you know if you're bitten by a mosquito, whether it's a Zika mosquito or just a random mosquito? One that they look the same. They are the same.
They look the same. They are the same. There's a duality. How do you know if you're bitten by a Zika infected mosquito or regular? He straight up told us they look the same. They are the same. How can they be the same? One has the virus, one doesn't. But he says they look the same. They are the same. Duality. Duality giving the indication that this is a psyop.
No, if you're bitten by a mosquito, whether it's a Zika mosquito or just a random mosquito, one that they look the same. They are the same. That was my thing. They look the same. And 80% of the cases you don't have symptoms. And 80% of the cases you don't have symptoms. Right, and that's the problem. Is that yes?
And that's the problem. See, if you don't have, let's just go with the narrative and say this is real. If you're not showing symptoms, that means your immune system has taken care of the virus. See, that's the whole scare of the psyop with the Zika. It was then, and it's done with every viral, so-called viral outbreak, especially this one for 2020, coronavirus. When they're spreading the fear tactic, they're engaged in the fear tactic, they dismiss the body's immune system, its wonderful ability to fight a virus. They dismiss it. They won't mention it. It's treated as if we have no immune systems whatsoever, and they focus on the fear of catching it as if you have no immune system. The overreaction as far as protecting yourself. They focus on hand washing. They focus on taking vaccines.
Approving less than Obama asked for, then Congress fighting back. I mean, we have to now start to protect Americans, and we have to figure out a way where every town can test their mosquitoes to know if it's there and tell people don't go outside.
Okay, if we had a lot of money, what would we do?
We would have every town would start to test all the mosquitoes every day, so we could start to know when it got to your town. And you would tell people if you're pregnant or thinking of pregnant, stay indoors. There and tell people don't go outside.
Okay, if we had a lot of money, what would we do?
We would have every town would start to test all the mosquitoes every day, so we could start to know when it got to your town. And you would tell people if you're pregnant or thinking of pregnant, stay indoors. Wear a mosquito. We'd start to test all the mosquitoes every day, so we could start to know when it got to your town. And you would tell people if you're pregnant. We'd start to test all the mosquitoes every day, so we could start to know when it got to your town. And you would tell people start to test all the mosquitoes every day, so we could start to know when it got to your town. And you would tell people if you're pregnant or thinking of pregnant, stay indoors. Wear a mosquito net. Insects start to test all the mosquitoes every day, so we could start to know when it got to your town. And you would tell people if you're pregnant or thinking of pregnant, stay indoors. Wear a mosquito net. Ain't sexy, but they work. Put DEET on, the only chemical that really blocks mosquitoes from biting you, and take every precaution. To learn from it. Zika will be the first of many viruses over the years because the world is flat. You know, yesterday they discovered the papers of the guy who discovered Zika in the 1950s. 1918, 100 million people died in the world from influenza. We lost 12 years off life expectancy. So viruses can have an enormous impact in the world, and we need to pay attention.
Dr. David Agus, good to see you here. Thank you so much.
This is the first of many viruses to come because the Earth is flat. Obviously, a flat Earth, or he said, in the world is flat. It's an obviously bizarre statement, and for them not to acknowledge it. But it was interesting. He said this is the first of many viruses to come because the world is flat. It's almost as if it's a predictive programming in and of itself, in saying that because the world is flat, perhaps because of the flat Earth truth agenda has wreaked havoc on the whole global scenario, solar system scenario, been destroyed. This is like it's time to unleash a response to move us into another phase of society, which I think is, in my opinion, is fulfilling scripture. It's tribulation speech, basically. Famines, pestilence, in Babylon obviously has the power to do it. His excitement, as he mentions, the papers found in 1950, he's with a very excitable voice there. He's excited. And then he mentions this so-called pandemic from 1918, which shows ridiculous numbers. It varies anywhere between 17 million and 100 million, with a gleeful tone of voice express these so-called facts. Very, very, very strange. But I want to move on to a segment that will deal with why that flat world statement is very relevant and indeed predictive programming.
The guy who discovered Zika in the 1950s. 1918, 100 million people died in the world from influenza. We lost 12 years off life expectancy. So viruses can have an enormous impact in the world, and we need to pay attention.
Dr. David Agus, good to see you here. Thank you so much.
Advertising the first nationwide net that has a 5G network. And they said, with it, you can shape the future. And they start out by showing that the horizon of the globe, the curved Earth. And then when they make the statement, with it, you can shape the future. And they quickly switch over to the individual holding the phone. Of course, you got the four corners, you got a flat surface, you have Earth on a flat surface there, a city, four corners, versus the backdrop of the globe, of the curved horizon, of course, with the concave lens. As far as the guy making a flat Earth reference, I initially thought he was referencing the curve, flattening the curve has been the ongoing narrative, bringing the corona infection down to zero. But I realized back in 2018 they weren't using that flattening the curve language. This is a recent narrative dealing with coronavirus flattening the curve. So I will agree that the statement made in the CBS interview, in the Earth is flat, that's predictive programming. I've been seeing a lot of commercials that are alluding to the mockery of the globe. I've been seeing a lot of flipping of the screen. They'll show someone talking and they'll just flip the screen. I'm showing images here as an example. These are not the actual commercials that I've witnessed where the screen gets flipped, but I have noticed it. Of course, this is an actual commercial, the Rolo commercial. The candy Rolo, you got the guy rolling down the hill as if he's rolling off the side of the globe, which is realistic. This is the predictive programming. I strongly believe that they are on the verge of announcing flat Earth. As the commercial goes on, it goes to, after showing that the guy holding the reshaped future in his hand. And they show the running of the pink EMFs, and then you got your flat surface there in the horizon. Then they go one more shot of the globe right there, and then they come down, shaping the future down to the square, to the flat Earth. Only it's a rectangle, but it's flat Earth. 5G has the power to influence the mind. It's a more intense radio band with smaller towers in a more concentrated area, which will no doubt have an effect on brain waves, on behavior, whatnot, various things that they absolutely, I believe, and a lot of others who study the subject believe that mood swings, the whole coloration of pink represents, passive, complacency, people who, lack initiative. That's the whole color coding. That's the purpose of the color coding of the 5G symbolism there in this commercial. They went through a lot of trouble installing 5G. Every city, every neighborhood, basically every major city, pretty much, as far as I can tell, as far as what I have studied, has undergone this uprooting in installation of 5G. Billions, no doubt, billions of dollars are spent just to give us quicker internet. I think not. Daniel 7:25 will be fulfilled, the portion of scripture where it says, he shall speak great words against the Most High. I believe, I've said this in another video, once they acknowledge flat Earth, they are going to have to come up with a story as to why they have hid it from the public. And the only story that I think of that they could get away with for the moment would be to claim a victory over the Most High. And the God of the King James Version Bible has been defeated on the scene, and then Antichrist shows his face. He takes over the world. The masses, through the aid of 5G, will bow down and serve Antichrist. This is how I see this vote unfolding. I think we are right at the door of that scenario. I don't expect people to just buy into that. It sounds, but I believe that is the route that they are going to go. The whole flat Earth agenda, the truth movement since 2015 has had a tremendous impact on the globe, on the global deception, the whole solar system deception led by NASA.